Enlightened.
Hello, welcome back to Positively Enlightened.
So today's topic is a little bit controversial, so I think I'm going to start with a question. Noah, what is your opinion on ghosts? Real or fake?
Ghosts are something that I feel like you either believe in or you don't. It's either a yes or a no.
So do you have any ghost experiences or ghost stories, you think?
A ghost experience I've had was in this place called Pine Mountain, and my parents had bought a house there. I was so little. I was like 3 years old.
Yeah, I was not born.
And they were doing some construction on this house. And maybe this construction stirred up some spirits. Maybe it didn't. I don't really know, but here's what happened. They finally added on a bottom stairs, kind of like a basement. So you could only access this part of the house from going downstairs.
Right.
There was no door to the outside into this part of the house. So I was down there with my 2 aunts who were 6 years older than me, and we were playing. And then all of a sudden, near the staircase, was this older man who we had no idea who he was. And I was so little, I think I was kind of just like, what is happening? Who is this man?
Could be like a family friend, who knows?
Yeah, like who knows? But they started screaming and running up the stairs. And so, of course, I was like, ah, and followed them up the stairs. And later we were telling my mom, and she was like, no one was here. What? No.
And it's like in the mountains. It's not like a big city or anything like that. So I feel like it'd be pretty weird for just a random person to go in a house in the mountains, you know?
Like that, it wouldn't even make sense. So we find out that there was some bones buried, I guess, under this house. All sorts of crazy stuff was stirred up, but this was even creepier. Things started like happening that were pretty unexplainable. There was a printer we had in one of the rooms, and it started just going haywire, like printing out these little symbols and numbers, not anything.
So creepy. It's from a horror movie.
Right? And no one was even printing anything. So we unplugged it, or they unplugged it. I was a baby.
Yeah.
But they unplugged it, and it kept on printing, like the stars, hearts.
So weird.
Wasn't even plugged in. It kept printing. So that's like the creepiest story I have. But I feel like you always sometimes go into those houses or rooms and you just get chills, which are unexplainable.
Yeah, sometimes it's just like an eerie feeling or something.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't knock it. What about you?
I'm definitely open to it. Like, I never had an experience when I was younger that I can remember that I've even been told about, but I've still always been open to it. I think I've even expressed it on past episodes. When it comes to pretty much anything, I never really fully shut it down just because there's so much out there that we don't know. But I think this does a really good job on bringing us to today's topic, which is all about ghosts and ghost hunting. So on today's episode, we have a very, very special guest with us. It's Daryl Marston from A&E's Ghost Hunters.
Yes. So Daryl started his own team in 2011 and has been ghost hunting ever since then. He also has his own show called Epic Haunts, which he is the EP for, and he stars in it. So obviously, we were so excited to talk to him today about ghost hunting.
Yeah, let's call him up.
We're so excited to have you on here. Noah and I have been binging Ghost Hunters. We're so excited.
Binging, huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, let's just go ahead and get started if that's fine with you.
Yeah, no worries. Let's do this.
Okay. Awesome. So my first question is, what is your first ghost experience that you remember having?
First paranormal, I mean, in all honesty, I grew up in a haunted house, but I was way too young to remember it. When we moved out of there, I was like 6 years old. So I remember the stories my parents, my grandparents would tell me. Besides that, my first real paranormal experience that really kind of got me into ghost hunting was in 2005. I was a skeptic. I didn't know anything about paranormal or investigating or ghost hunters or any of that stuff.
Right.
I got invited to a paranormal investigation at a local place here where I live. And my first experience ever was on my first investigation where I was just basically a bystander. I actually witnessed a half-body apparition, and it completely blew my mind. So I knew when I left there that night that some way, somehow, I wanted to investigate. I didn't know how or didn't know anything about the equipment or the techniques or any of that. And that's what got me into it. I started doing it, and here I am 16 years later, and this is where I'm at. Yeah.
That's awesome how far you've even come from that.
So my next question is that how you kind of got into ghost hunting and paranormal investigating?
Yeah, that's what got me into it. Like I said, I knew nothing about it. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what a ghost hunter was or a paranormal investigator. I didn't even know that it existed at that point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had seen a couple of the shows prior to that. I think Ghost Hunters was the only one that was really out at the time. Mm-hmm. It wasn't really that big at the moment, and it piqued my interest, and I thought it was pretty cool. And I was very lucky, and I think I was just at the right place at the right time, and that's what set me on this path. And I never wanted to be on TV or anything like that. They kind of found me, and it was more of a hobby, and that was my thing. I would do, a couple times a month, just on the weekends with friends and family and things of that nature. So, yeah.
Wow. So you mentioned you saw a half-body apparition. What is that?
Yeah.
What is that?
Basically, it was what I saw with my own eyes was this was an old Civil War prison. Mm-hmm. It's called Fort Delaware. It's right here where I live in Delaware. And what I saw was a man from the shoulders up. I just saw basically his shoulders and his head. He had a beard, very scruffy, probably shoulder-length hair, very disheveled, dirty looking. And I could see what really I remember the most was I could see debris, like leaves and dirt in his beard.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
And he looked emaciated, like he was probably starving. Mm-hmm. And I probably saw him for a good 8 to 10 seconds.
Wow, that's
and
a long
he kind of just when he disappeared, he kind of just sucked into a ball and just gone. Yeah, that's what I saw. And this is before I believed in any of it. And I'm still very much a skeptic. I mean, any investigation, either on the show or off the show I ever will go to, I'm very open. I stay open-minded, but I'm also, I have to see it to believe it, and I have to prove it after that I actually saw it. And try to debunk what I saw or what other people saw. So I'm very much like that. Like a lot of us are on the show. Mm-hmm. I'm like that even like on investigations outside the show. So that's where I stand in this. I don't believe everything's paranormal. I don't believe every little bump. I don't believe every story that's told to me. I'm always the first thing when somebody tells me a story, I'm trying to think, well, what else could that be?
Yeah.
So that's how I got into it. Yeah.
I think that's so good, especially since that will help people know that the show is more reliable, since you guys aren't so quick to just believe everything that you hear or see.
Absolutely. That's one thing we really pride ourselves on the show is debunking. It's one of the first things we do. We go on an investigation. You hear all the eyewitness reports, whatever the person who the homeowner or the business owner is telling us, and the first thing is going through my mind is, what could that be? Natural occurrence. I'm hearing knocking, I'm hearing footsteps and things of that nature. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is, okay, it's something mechanical, or the house is creaking, or the house it's not well insulated or something. So that's the first thing that goes to my mind. Mm-hmm. And then when you're doing these investigations, and all of a sudden you're starting to actually get the paranormal experiences that the homeowner or the business owner is getting, you're like, okay, there's more to this. And when you can actually capture that either on camera or audio or whatever, with our equipment, and you can correlate all that and kind of put it together, that's when you might have something. The big thing is, once we do find the evidence and we capture, like we've captured so many times, full body apparitions or, really good EVPs, is the next step is why? Why are we seeing this entity? Why are they seeing this entity?
Right, yeah.
And is it, at that point too, is it intelligent? Is it residual? What is it? It's taking that next step, not just, oh, I saw a ghost,
Right.
And leaving it at that. It's like, why is it happening?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I have a question also. Have you ever had an entity follow you home after one of these investigations? Has that ever happened to you?
I can't say it was an entity, but I can say something followed me home from an investigation one time about 6 years ago now. Whatever it wasn't very pleasant. I think what it was at the time, I'd only been in, investigating for 8 or 9 years at that point. And I think I left myself open to this location, and I was arrogant, and I'm like, oh, I'm this big tough guy, nobody's gonna F with me. And it F with me pretty bad for about 3 weeks. Yeah,
that's a long time.
It wasn't good. No, it wasn't good at all. Whatever it was, thank God I was able to get rid of it and move forward. Yeah.
How did you get rid of it?
Yeah,
I just reached out to people I knew in the community that dealt with things of that nature, and just got their input on what I can do, and then and finally with just telling it to leave constantly, it finally did. And I don't even think it was it was an entity so much. I think it was more of the location I was at. I think it was basically like an imprint of the location kind of came back with me, because the location was very dark and very how can I say, it had a very dark history. And I think part of that imprinted on me, and it came back with me home, which is 10 hours away from this location.
Wow.
And it just played havoc with my life for about a good 3 or 4 weeks. I was sick. I was depressed, and I'm not like that. I'm very upbeat, very energetic. And it really, I knew it was here. My family even knew it was here. I could see a difference, and I had to get rid of it as soon as possible. And it worked. Whatever it was, it finally left.
Wow, that's insane.
So scary.
So if you're going to these places where they do have a dark history, or just you can feel that, is there something you do before you leave to make sure it doesn't follow you?
I think the way I look at it now is I always go into an investigation as a complete observer. And when I say that is, I don't go in there, I don't open myself up to something. I don't sit there and say, start, provoking and telling it, get out, or, like you see on some of the shows.
Right.
And stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not what I do. It's not what we do on the show. But we go in as observers. We try to document evidence, collect evidence, because at the end of the week, or the end of the 2 weeks, however long we're there, we do have a client we have to sit down with and say, hey, this is what we captured. This is what we may think is going on here, and we have to prove that to them, and it kind of ease their minds on how they can deal with it. And you don't want to go in there like that. You want to go in there, try to use scientific, based equipment and techniques and things of that nature, to the best of your ability to actually do it right, and not go in there and provoke whatever's there, if there is anything there at all. Sometimes there's not. Sometimes it's the homeowner maybe just thinking there's something there because they're having mechanical problems or plumbing problems or whatever.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Because you have a background in construction, right?
Yeah, construction and firearms instructor, yeah.
So you know what some of those sounds are, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that people, anybody who's been a homeowner or rented a house or lived in a house or whatever, you hear these noises every day.
Right. Yeah.
You hear the furnace kick on, or the AC kick on, or the plumbing, or whatever, the pipes. So all of a sudden you go into a house that's reportedly haunted. It's paranormal. And I know things sound different at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, especially, you're already in that mindset that the place is haunted.
Definitely.
And that's what happens a lot of times, A lot of times you can debunk a lot of it. Really, you can, by proving to them this is what's going on. Yeah.
Wow. What do you say to people who don't believe in ghosts and they don't believe in anything paranormal?
You don't. You let them do their thing. It's eventually someday, hopefully they have an experience. But it's funny though you say that, because even the people who are the biggest skeptics in the world and the ghosts don't exist, they all have a story. It never fails. I hear it all the time. I'll go to these events that I show up for, and, for the public and stuff, and there's always that one or two people, and it's usually someone's boyfriend or husband is tagging along.
Tough,
and they're the big tough guy. I don't believe in any of this stuff. But I remember this one time in my aunt's house when I was 6 years old. I saw this old lady that wasn't.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, well, there you go. You had your paranormal experience, dude.
It's so funny.
It's funny. Yeah, it's funny. It's crazy because, even like 5 to 10 years ago, paranormal talking about it in public was taboo. People didn't do it, And everywhere I go now, it's like everybody has a story. Everybody wants to tell you their story. Everybody, it doesn't matter if you're walking through Home Depot or freaking Walgreens and somebody recognizes you, and they start talking to you, they want to tell you their story, which I'm completely open for, and I appreciate it, and I love it, and I'm very humbled by it. But, it's funny. Everybody's got that,
When we watch your show, we see that there's so many different types of equipment that all you guys use. Do you have, like, a favorite type of equipment that you use?
Honestly, my big thing, I love going into an investigation without any equipment at all.
Wow.
I don't have to concentrate on a data recorder or a camera or a piece of audio equipment. I honestly love just going in and feeling out the place. But unfortunately, on the show, you can't really do that. But I think probably my favorite all-time piece of equipment, and it's so simple, is my body cam I wear. I've captured some great evidence on that body cam. Like going back to, if you watch the Alaska episode, when I'm up in the third floor of the halls of the hotel and this apparition pops out and I capture it on my camera.
Crazy.
It's so easy. It's like having another set of eyes, because you basically turn it on, you clip it on, and you forget about it. Honestly, I forgot I completely had it on. There's actually a scene where they show me say to Mustafa, "Oh, hey, I got my body cam on. Hopefully I captured that."
Right.
And I did. It was gold when we captured that moment. And I think my other piece of favorite equipment would probably be the EMCCD camera, the camera that Brandon had actually reached out to a friend of his in the scientific field and got. And people don't realize that camera has been around for 30, 35 years. It's never been used in paranormal. It's been used by NASA, by the military, and by the scientific community.
That's awesome.
What it does is it measures single photon events. And one of the theories out there is that these entities, or these ghosts, are made up of photons. And we've captured some amazing evidence on that piece of equipment, and it's mind-blowing, the stuff that we've captured on that camera.
That's so smart, yeah.
There's so much out there. It's insane.
It is, right? It's fun on our show because, we're not buying stuff off of Amazon and things of that nature, or from the local ghost store. Our stuff is like stuff that's used in other fields, like the EMCCD camera, the body cam police use. It's such a simple piece of equipment, but you're like, how come? It's so funny because the body cam thing, complete accident. I Forrest Gump that so great, because everybody, I go to all these locations now and with the public, and everybody's got a damn body cam now. You go on Amazon, and body cams are the first thing that pop up on paranormal equipment.
That's crazy.
It's like you're blown away by that, but it's such a simple thing. It's like, why didn't anybody think of that before?
Right. Yeah.
And body cams. It's a camera. They're so. The thing is too, the resolution and everything on a body cam is so great. It's really. I don't know what the pixelation rate is on them, because I think they're probably all a little bit different, but they're so great with IR. And the sound quality is amazing on them. They're such a great piece of equipment. They're not that expensive. You can get a good one for $200-$300.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, what is the scariest place you have ever been? So far, I'm sure you're going to continue. Yeah, so far.
Yeah, probably scariest. I'll tell you on the show and off the show. On the show would probably be Clifton, Arizona. And probably off the show would be the House of Wills in Cleveland, Ohio.
That sounds scary.
I know. I remember you on there, and I was like, I'm scared already.
Oh, Clifton?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Clifton was not just the paranormal side, it was the human side of it too.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's great people in Clifton, Arizona. For the most part, amazing people, really are. They rolled out the red carpet for us. The Chamber of Commerce, they made us full lifetime members of the Chamber of Commerce.
Wow.
That's awesome.
But there's this one little element that did not like us and did not want us there. And for whatever reasons, I know the reasons, I can't say why. Yeah, it got pretty ugly there. We were there for 15 days, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, 15 days.
Yeah.
And it was that last, I would say, 7 to 10 days was very, very, very sketchy. Yeah,
Wow.
where you're coming to your hotel at night and you're checking your room. Make
Yeah.
sure there's nobody in there. Yeah.
Oh, that's so scary. I've kind of like a silly question. Do you still get scared going on these investigations, or has it pretty much calmed down?
I wouldn't say scared. There's always that jump scare or that, getting startled in the moment. I mean, you saw me do it in Alaska where I basically ran through the room and almost knocked the stopper down because I saw this thing charging me. But scared, no. I mean, I walk through locations by myself. I mean, I just did Penhurst. I filmed there like 2-3 weeks ago, and I'm walking around the place by myself. Everybody's like looking for me. It's like I forget. It doesn't bother me until something happens, like something gets thrown at me, like at Waverly Hills, and we got a rock thrown at us and stuff like that. When they get physical, or they, and they're not trying to be physical, I think they're just trying to get your attention.
Right.
That's when it gets a little concerning. But no, it doesn't bother me, honestly. Yeah.
I can't even imagine. We just get scared watching the show, so I honestly can't imagine.
I couldn't do it because I'm a screamer. I'd just be like screaming every corner. So.
She'd scare them.
Well, that's one of the things that I tell myself, especially on the show. I'm like, I'm filming and I'm doing it by myself or something, like doing a solo run. I'm like, millions of people are going to be watching this. Act like a man.
That's good motivation.
I'm fine.
Okay. Now, every show I have ever seen about hauntings or paranormal, why does it always have to be dark and nighttime when you're doing these investigations?
It doesn't, honestly. The thing with the TV shows are the ambiance behind it.
Okay.
And the fact that your cameras, like your IR and your thermals, are going to pick up a lot more in the dark.
Makes sense.
Especially thermal. Thermal's not going to pick up anything during day.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a dark building, of course. But IR, especially, you get so much great evidence. The fact that you're shooting at night, plus the noise contamination. There's less people out at night, especially 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Especially if you're in an area like inner city or something of that nature where there's traffic, it helps with that as well. Yeah. Like I shot at Fort Mifflin in Philadelphia, and a lot of people don't realize Fort Mifflin is literally right next to the Philadelphia airport. So you have that the flight pattern,
right.
And it does the flight pattern dies down after 10, 11 o'clock at night because there's less flights, of course. So that helps. Just things of that nature. Yeah, that's
gotcha.
it.
That makes sense.
And the ambiance of it.
Yeah.
It looks scarier. The scary haunted house at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Okay, so we can see you on Ghost Hunters, but can you tell us about Epic Haunts?
Absolutely. Epic Haunts is my own series. I'm the executive producer on. And a lot of people don't know, I realize I own Paranormal Warehouse. I'm co-owner of it, and which is the largest paranormal live streaming network in the world. And it's a series. We started getting in more to produce series over the last year, production-wise. So we have camera ops and audio people and stuff that work for us and producers. And we started filming this series called Epic Haunts. Back. It was the brainchild of my 2 partners back this time last year. Mm-hmm. But the only problem was I really couldn't do much with it because I was, just wrapping up the season, and we were in Alaska, we were in Utah, Illinois. But once COVID hit, I'm like, we were grounded. So I'm like, let's do this now. But then you couldn't travel or anything. So we put it all together, and we're like, okay, we got to figure out when we all can film the first episode. And we've never done this before, we never started our own production company, and we never had to, I never been on that side of the camera, and both sides of the camera at this point where I'm EPing it, producing, and all that stuff.
Wow.
And we found a date. We were able to get our guest out there, who's Omar Gosh from Omar Gosh TV, and it all came together so great. And we feel like an episode of Ghost Hunters takes us a week to film. And that's just a regular episode. That's not including anything else. We filmed it one day, and I don't know how we did it. I honestly do not know how we did it. And that was me. We were up, don't get me wrong, we were up for 28, 29 hours. But we filmed it all in one day. Now, that's not including editing. Editing, I'm very picky on the way something comes out. So it went through 5, 6, 7 cuts before I stamped it and said, okay, let's do it. And so we filmed it in June, and we released it in October. That's how picky I am.
Wow. One day to film.
I was like, no, not good enough. And even my partners, they were in on it. And I'm actually, one of the producers from Ghost Hunters is a producer on Epic Haunts as well.
Oh, neat.
And we all just kind of, we finally agreed on something. And but we just filmed our second episode at Penhurst, which is going to be amazing. We had such a great time there. The second run just felt so much cleaner than the first run. So hopefully we can get this episode out by February. It's cool. It's really cool doing both sides. It really is. It's different.
We're so excited to check it out. Yeah.
Well, absolutely.
Very neat. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Daryl. Take care.
You're amazing. Thank you.
All right.
I hope you guys enjoyed listening to Daryl as much as we did.
Yeah, that was such a great conversation. I know that when I first heard that Daryl was going to come on the podcast, I'm not going to lie, I was a bit intimidated just because if you guys have seen Daryl on Ghost Hunters or follow him on his Instagram, he's a big, tough guy. And if you go just based off looks, a little bit intimidating. So I was a little bit nervous before we started the Zoom call, but as soon as we started talking to him, it was such a nice and fun conversation. You could tell he's such a genuine guy. Just, wow, my mind's kind of blown. It was just such a good talk,
So don't forget to watch him on A&E's Ghost Hunters. Check out his new show, Epic Haunts, and you can follow his Instagram at Daryl Marston Ghost Hunter.
Of course, we want to end this episode with our favorite review of the week. So this one comes from Zane War 24. It says, I don't really listen to a lot of podcasts, but I keep coming back to this one. The hosts know what they're talking about and are really prepared. So nice.
Yes,
so sweet.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Make sure you follow our Instagram at Positively Enlightened and check out our YouTube page because the full interviews are up on there.
Thank you guys. Bye.